I'm Christy, sitting here in the hospital's family conference room, the air thick with unspoken words and long, held resentments. I can still feel the shockwaves from what just transpired. The room went deathly silent as I laid bare the long, hidden truths about my family's unequal treatment. My sister, Isabella, stared at me from the video screen, her face a mask of disbelief and anger. It all started long ago. I grew up in a family where my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, had high hopes for Isabella. She was the golden child, the one with big dreams and a charismatic personality. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one, always in the background, working hard and trying to make the best of what I had. In 1995, when Isabella was 18 and I was 15, our house was abuzz with preparations for her departure to an Ivy League university. My parents threw a grand send-off party, inviting over 50 guests. There was a huge banner that read, "Congratulations, Isabella, future CEO." I spent the whole evening serving food and drinks, while my mother handed me an apron in the morning and said, "Christy, this is Isabella's special day. Be useful." I didn't get to sit at the main table. I ate in the kitchen, watching everyone celebrate Isabella. That night, my father announced they were giving Isabella $50,000 for her college education. When I asked about my college fund, he just said, "Not everyone is meant for college, Christy. You're more down to earth." 3 years later, when I wanted to enroll in a vocational nursing program, my mother gently told me they'd already used my college money for Isabella. "It's okay, Christy. Nursing school is cheaper. You'll work it out." And I did. I took 2 jobs, working as a cashier at a grocery store during the day and a waitress at a diner at night. Meanwhile, Isabella graduated with a business degree and got a brand new luxury car as a graduation gift. In 2002, Isabella got married to Ryan, a wealthy businessman. My parents spent a whopping $100,000 on their dream wedding. I was a bridesmaid and had to pay $500 for a dress I'd never wear again. When I asked if the bridal party costs could be covered, Isabella just laughed and said, "Christy, it's not that much. Put it on your card." 2 years later, my boyfriend, Ethan, proposed to me. He was a mechanic, a hard, working, and kind-hearted man. My parents gave us only $3,000 for our wedding. "Ethan seems like a practical guy. You don't need a big wedding," my father said. Isabella was busy moving into a new mansion that my parents had helped her buy with a $60,000 down payment. At my small backyard wedding, my parents were more concerned about Isabella's comfort than mine. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. It was 3 a.m. when my father called me, sobbing, "Christy, your mother fell in the bathroom. I can't lift her. There's blood everywhere." I was out of bed in an instant. "Dad, call 911 right now. I'm coming." I rushed to the hospital in record time. When I got there, my mother was in surgery for a broken hip, and my father looked like he'd aged 20 years overnight. The doctor informed us that my mother would need long-term rehabilitation, and my father was showing early signs of dementia. They couldn't live alone anymore. My father looked at me with pleading eyes and said, "Family helps family, Christy." I asked, "Have you called Isabella?" There was a long silence, 47 seconds of it. Then he said, "She's busy. She has her own problems." I knew then that I had to take matters into my own hands. I started looking into the family finances. At my parents' house, while looking for my mother's insurance papers, I found a notebook in my father's study. It was filled with my mother's meticulous records of every financial gift they'd given to Isabella over the years: college tuition, cars, vacations, and emergency loans. In total, over the past 35 years, Isabella had received around $400,000, while I'd only gotten $8,000. I also discovered that my parents' savings were dwindling fast, and they didn't have enough to cover long-term care. I called an elder care attorney and learned that while there was no legal obligation for Isabella to contribute, it would be morally wrong for her not to. The family meeting was set for Thursday. I was determined to bring the truth to light. When we were all gathered in the hospital's conference room, Isabella tried to claim she was in a financial bind due to a recent business failure. She said she couldn't contribute to our parents' care. I took a deep breath and said, Isabella, Dad has been incredibly generous to you over the years. The house, the cars, the weddings. You've received so much, yet you say you can't help now. She got defensive, saying it was about fairness and that she'd always had to live up to high expectations. I countered, fairness? What about working 2 jobs to pay for my own education? What about my small wedding? I then pulled out the notebook and started reading the records aloud. Isabella's face paled as I listed all the money she'd received. She tried to dismiss it as lies, but my mother confirmed that it was all true. Isabella then tried to turn the tables on me, saying I'd been distant from the family, not coming to holidays. I calmly replied that I hadn't been invited. Aunt Grace, who was on the video call, confirmed my story. I laid out what I could offer. Ethan and I owned our home, we had some savings, and I had 18 years of experience as a geriatric nurse. I said I could help coordinate my parents' care, contribute $1,800 a month, and visit twice a week. But I also made it clear that I wouldn't be the only one shouldering the burden. Isabella was silent for a long time. Finally, she said she'd see what she could do. My father broke down in tears, saying they hadn't realized how unequal things had been. My mother reached out and took my hand, saying, Forgive me, Christy. I just thought Isabella needed more. In the weeks that followed, Isabella started sending money every month, though it was less than I'd hoped. She also visited our parents a couple of times. My parents settled into an assisted living community. My mother's hip healed, and my father's condition was stable for now. It's been 6 months, and things aren't perfect, but they're better. Isabella and I are still learning to be sisters again. My father once told me that he should have seen my worth all along. I've learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for self-preservation. And I no longer have to be the invisible daughter. I'm finally being seen.